Yeah, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. As promised, today's video, I'm going to talk about native speakers that are English teachers and non native speakers that are English teachers. Okay? And I'm going to let you know right off the bat, right from the beginning of the video. Pay very close attention because this is probably the most important part you're going to hear. Okay? I know you don't have any time. Listen to this. The most important thing you need to do is find a professional English teacher. All right, find someone whose job is actually to teach English. Find someone that studied, that knows methodology, that has certifications. You know what I mean? So you guys know who I am. All right, my name is Bruno, and I'm a born and bred New Yorker. You know what I mean? I lived in New York until I was 26 years old, right? And I started to teach English in New York to immigrants when I was 17 years old, you know? I've been teaching English for 27 years. This year is going to be 28. And during this time, I've taken tons of courses and tests and things to improve me as a professional, to grow as a professional. You know what I mean? So you need to find somebody that takes the job of teaching English seriously. That's the first difficult thing to do, because the what I see most when I turn on social media is people that are unqualified saying they're qualified and trying to sell you like a miracle course where you're supposed to learn all this stuff in like the shortest amount of time. You know what I mean? Um, so find somebody that's good. If you find somebody that's good, doesn't really matter if they're non-native or native, right? Um, what are the advantages and disadvantages? The advantages is if you find a non-native English teacher, they went through the same thing you went through, right? They started from zero and they gradually grew until they were good enough to hopefully speak English in almost fluent way or fluently, you know. Um, so they have that relationship with you. They have that link. They know, the difficulties that you'll have. You know what I mean? That's the advantage. Um, Now, what is the advantage of being a native speaker? Native speakers, we learned naturally, right? So we're going to teach you naturally. At least that's how. I'm not even going to talk about native speakers. I'm going to say me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to include anybody. So I'm going to say me. Um, I want you to learn as efficiently as possible, right? So I've been doing this for 27 years. This accent that I'm using with you is the accent that I use to teach and make videos and to talk online. This is not the accent I use when I'm speaking to my homeboys in New York. All right? Why? Because you don't know who you're going to encounter, right? And a non native speaker, they're so accustomed to speaking to people with different accents. Like, I'm from New York. Like, that's the melting pot of the world. You know what I mean? So, like, I grew up listening to all types of accents. So, it's easier for me to reproduce those accents. And because I've taken courses, you know what I mean? Because I've learned methodologies and I've learned things that will help you memorize faster. Um, I think that native speaker has an upper hand. You know what I mean? Because when you're having class with me, you're learning a lot about the culture as well. You know what I'm saying? You're not only learning English, but you're learning the history of English. You're learning the history of America sometimes, the history of New York, the history, uh, 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 um, the origins of the language. Why is this written this way? Why is like all of this information, this is gathered during years of studying. You know what I mean? So if you got a guy out there that like just started teaching English because they decided they speak English, that's not really a teacher in my eyes. But everybody needs to make money, so you do what you got to do. All right. However, I know many, many non native English speaking teachers here in Brazil that are awesome, that I would recommend you without a blink of an eye. I'd be like, go to this guy. You know what I mean? Because I know that they know what they're doing, because they treat their job seriously. Like they're an English teacher. You know what I mean? So they perfected their accent, you know? And they perfected how to teach that. They learned how to teach that. You know what I mean? And that only comes with time. That comes with experience. That comes with you getting out there and teaching different types of classes and different types of people and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I'm teaching you the culture. So you get more knowledge, you get more information from a native speaker than you would from a non-native speaker when you're learning English. You know what I mean? Like if I'm American, like if you speak to me, you're going to learn so much about America that you never knew. You know what I'm saying? During our English class, that it's going to make it interesting, dynamic, different for you, you know? But like I said, there are many advantages and disadvantages for having a native speaker and a non native speaker as an English teacher. I'm a little biased because I'm a native speaker, and I think that native speakers, we have an upper, we're a little tier above, because we have a little bit more information and a little bit more nuance. And if you're a good teacher, you know how to put that in a class and make the class unforgettable. You know what I mean? But like I told you, I know native speakers that do the same thing. So what do you have to do, the person that's watching this video, is find a good teacher. Keep searching until you find one. You're going to find one. You know what I'm saying? Like, eventually you'll find someone that knows what they're doing. And you'll feel it. You'll be like, oh my God, this class was different. I really learned. Like, something that I was trying to learn for 4 years, he explained it to me in 10 seconds. And now I understand. You know what I mean? Find a real teacher. Don't buy into this concept that you're going to reach fluency in 3 months or 6 months or something like that. It's not that easy. You got to put in the work. You got to study. You got to have classes. Not necessarily have classes, but you got to study. And you got to study a lot. And if you have a teacher, it's easier. All right? So there's lots more to talk about. I don't want anybody jumping down my throat trying to kill me, because the conversation isn't over. There's still more advantages that I want to give you guys about non-native teachers, which there are a lot, and also there are still more advantages for teachers that are native. You know what I mean? But I have a limit of 10 minutes, so I got to break out. I'm going to catch y'all on part 2, and see you in the next video. Peace.